It's me, Jennifer from Little Metal Foxes, with
Julia, also from Little Metal Foxes.
That's right. And Simon. He's in the back. So, hi everybody. So, we're going to do our Tuesday tool talk tonight about saws and saw blades. And we've got a really fun announcement that we want to share this evening. It's a big deal. So we're pretty excited. We're partnering up with New Concepts. And New Concepts saws and saw blades are awesome. And if you're not familiar, go follow them and find out more about them. But we're going to be doing a sawing class coming up. Oh, hi, Chris. Hi, Jason. We're going to be doing a really fun giveaway with one of the New Concepts saw frames, and partnered up with them. They're going to be giving away a class for Little Metal Foxes. So
specifically the sawing and piercing demystified class.
That's
it's all about saws, right? So
yeah. And welcome, New Concepts has joined. Hi there. Hi, welcome. So we were just talking about you. Nice to see you. Haha. So we've got a couple of tips and things that we want to talk about tonight with the saw frames and saw blades. So we want to talk a little bit real quick about some different styles of saw blades and frames, or saw frames that you may not be familiar with, and what we use them for. A couple of our favorites real quick, and some of the differences and tips on saw blades that you may not know. In fact, Julia...
I know, I learned something tonight. She's so smart.
Yeah. So, hey Ryan, how are you? So thanks for partnering with us, Ryan. Yay, we're glad you got
Ryan is on with us.
So what we're going to do, if you want to stick around, Brian, we'll pull you in here in a minute for the conversation if you'd like. But what we want to do is talk real quick about some of the saw frames. Mm-hmm. So most people are familiar with the standard economy saw frames. These are fantastic.
In a couple different sizes.
Yeah, these are fantastic because as a student learning how to do this at first, I was completely broke, and I would go around and gather broken saw blades out of the drawer, and so I would use them down to nothing, which is not great because they get tempered and they sort of lose their touch after a little bit. But these come in different depths of throat. So you may find that some of them are thicker than others.
Right.
And this is important for a couple of things. If you're sawing something really small and piercing out, things that aren't very deep, something like a 2-inch frame like this is great. And the economy frames are fantastic. They work really well. And much like a saw, or much like a file handle, these fit into the wooden handle. So from time to time, you may have to jam it back on like you would a file handle. It happens when you're sawing and you hit a snag in the road and the handle pops off and you're like, but they do fit back on. But for deeper things, anything that's deeper than a couple of inches.
So, wait, hold that up again. You couldn't saw all the way through this piece of metal with this 2.5 saw frame. So you would need a saw frame that was a little deeper. The one I used the most is probably a 3-inch saw frame. And that's what I used for this. You can actually kind of go around corners a little bit. New Concept saw. I love my New Concept saw frames. I have frames, plural, more than one. But were you going to talk a little bit about why you would have a small one versus a big one?
Yeah, so the 2-inch
other than the throat
is usually a little bit more rigid than the ones
and
that
balanced.
are deeper.
The weight is balanced over your hand more.
So the handles are usually very ergonomic with this little place for your hand to sit. So one of the mistakes a lot of people make when they're sawing is they'll put their hand like this on the saw frame. And when you're sawing, that really is hard on your wrist, and you're not holding it, and it's tipping the blade forward, which will lead to more breakage of your saw blades. So if you let that thing rock back in your hand, so you're holding it like so, you can even let go with your index and your thumb and just let it kind of balance in your hand properly, and that actually corrects it to standing straight up and down. So when you're sawing, you're not using as much force, you're not pushing the blade, which will break it, and you're not tipping it forward, which will also break it. Because you're cutting through something at a diagonal, and if you're cutting straight up and down, it's the path of least resistance. And the blades are designed to pull themselves through the metal.
Right.
So you don't have to push to get it done, right? So,
No pushing.
yeah. So
you should be able to saw all
balance it.
day, and the hand that should get tired is the hand holding the metal.
Yeah. So, but once you sort of figure out that this is an extension of your arm, not so much your fingers. If you've got a death grip on this, you're holding it wrong. No. Relax your hand, let it rock back a little bit, and you're actually going to have it in the right direction.
But you're going to learn a lot more in the Sawing and Piercing Demystified class about that kind of thing, and how to take care of them, and how to take care of yourself, how to sit properly, how high to sit.
Everything.
Posture is everything. Angle, all of that. I'm going to go over in detail.
And even something as simple as your bench pin position can make a big difference. You want to be sawing with it up and down, or with it,
flat side up.
So that can make a big difference when you're sawing too. But let's talk about the other saw frames you've got there.
Yeah. Okay. So classic, standard, sort of German jeweler saw frames, inexpensive, great place to start. If you're going to do a lot of piercing, one of the saw frames that I acquired fairly early in my piercing career, because I love doing piercing, is this one. And this is also not terribly expensive. It's a fixed frame, so you can't use the short blades, but it has this cam lever lock, and I love these because it allows you to tighten the blade without having to pinch so much. So this is great for piercing. And then I know this one is Jennifer's favorite, so I'll let her talk about this one.
Yeah. So this is the Green Lion saw frame, and seriously, I don't think there's a sexier tool since the 16th century France. It's just like, what? Curvilicious. And the thing I like about it is the handle is molded onto the frame, and it's a denser, heavier rubber. So when you're doing a lot of heavy sawing, it actually is really kind of nice because it deadens all the vibration that comes out of sawing. So if you're doing a lot of heavy sawing, this can be great because it's a little bit beefier frame. It's a 16 gauge steel cut frame, and it's got metal wing little.
The wing nuts on this are quite large, which is nice. One of the things that's a pain about the classic ones is the wing nuts tend to be a little small, and so it makes it it can be a little painful to tighten. Yeah,
and the other thing that's kind of handy about this is if you're left-handed. Or if these are in the way on this side, you can actually flip these to the other side. So for left-handed people, this can be a really nice saw frame because of that.
You can do that with the new concepts too.
Yeah. And it's kind of nice too because it's just balanced like a Japanese steak knife. I mean, it's just, I like it. So this is one of my favorite frames as well from Green Lion. But my other favorite, and Julia's too, is the new concepts.
Yeah.
And I've had mine for many years. Bought it from I believe Otto Fry, I think, originally.
Yeah, maybe? I don't know. I've had this long enough that mine has a red handle.
Yeah, mine too.
The original ones had a red handle.
Yeah.
The newer ones have a plain wooden handle, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's, so the handle's color is not going to make a difference to the efficacy of the saw.
Yeah. And it's a racy red aluminum frame. And the way that it's cut, it's like an aircraft design, which makes it incredibly stable. And so for people who haven't seen this kind of saw frame before, it tightens differently than the tension on the other saw frames. So this, I like that this has the cam on top that tightens the saw blade there, rather than trying to compress the frame every time because it's rigid.
So on this saw, you have to actually spring it by compressing it. You have to compress it to get some spring into the blade, which can be hard on your hands.
Yeah, and your shoulder.
And your shoulder. Or whatever part of your body you're pushing against with the saw.
Yeah. When I was in grad school, that's where I started doing metalsmithing, was in grad school, and I would always be improperly standing up when I was tightening my saw blades. And what I would do is...
I always stand up to tighten saw blades. If I'm using one of these saws.
Yeah, and I would have this in my bench pin, my bench pin, and have it like into my diaphragm, into my stomach right there. And after like a couple of weeks of doing a bunch of piercing, one night, I think I was taking a shower or something, I was like, oh my God, what have I done? I've got like this this bruise on my stomach, and I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna die. What's wrong with me? You know, your brain goes like off, and I was like, oh no. And I realized the minute I tried to tighten another saw blade that I had been doing it incorrectly. But yeah, in your shoulder right there is usually the best place.
I don't even do that. It's too painful. You know, I just stand up and I just grab the handle and I lean into it with the weight of my hip because I got 180 pounds going for me. I don't, you know, that's not going to bruise anything. I can just lean in with my body weight. That's what I teach my students to do.
So yeah, but this one the new concepts, you don't have to do that.
You don't have to lean on it,
right? Or your sternum, yeah. Brian
Right.
was like, yeah, you bruise your sternum really bad. There's just not any meat there.
There's not. So don't.
Yeah, but this is kind of like, yep, just tightens it.
It's so awesome because you
That's
can set the you set it this way. So you have a little screw here that allows you to set the blade, and then you can tighten it exactly to the same location and the same tightness every time. So if you're doing stuff like this where you're piercing out dozens of little holes, being able to undo the blade, thread it through, and then retighten it with a big wide flat thing like this where it's not all flopping around and you're trying to like go this way and hold it like this.
Yeah.
It's a game changer. So if you like piercing, this is your saw.
And it's like a third the weight of the other saws.
It's extremely light.
Yeah.
It's like aircraft aluminum, so it's super light.
Yeah. I like it.
We love it. And these are the original ones, which are a little bit lighter. I believe these are both Mark IIIs. This is the basic Mark III, and then this one is the one that swivels. So it has this characteristic that this part will swivel, and that allows you to cut at an angle.
Longer strips.
Right. So you can cut a really long strip off of something because you're cutting down the edge as opposed to getting it banging into the back of the frame.
Yeah, so the depth of the throat doesn't matter
exactly
as much because you can cut a long strip with it rather than just straight in. But one of the tips that I wanted to share with you guys, because a lot of times people don't know the difference between the numbers on the saw blades, and saw blades are kind of funny because they've got like 2s, 8s, 0 2s, 0 odd 2s, odd 8s.
Right, there's these zeros in the numbers, like everybody's like, what's that about?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
So, if you go to the New Concepts
website,
you actually can download the jeweler's saw chart, which gives you the size of the blades, the thickness of the metal that it would be appropriate for using. Normally you want to have about 3 teeth engaging the metal as it cuts through. Mm-hmm. So this gives you a really good chart as to what saw blade you need to be using with what thickness of metal.
Right.
So the thin,
you just print it out.
Yeah, and the thinner your metal, the thinner the blade. So
this
if you're
is actually
using,
I think I glued it because it has a millimeter version and there's an inch version because New Concepts has your back, right? So whatever you're cutting with,
wherever in the world you are measuring things.
Brian's like, never play Trivial Pursuits with me. No, absolutely not. He's correcting me that this one is actually an early Mark I, and he's right because this original one didn't have the lever, and I bought the kit. This is how long I've had this saw. I bought the kit to adapt it and put the lever cam lock in myself, and then he said this one is actually a Mark III. The swivel is an early Mark III.
Maybe mine's a Mark II because mine had that built in. So,
yes, you didn't have to alter yours. Yours was built in.
I don't know. Mine was there. And I have to tell you, Brian, when I first and confess to the rest of you that when I first got mine, I was so excited about it. I was like, "This is amazing! It's so hot and sexy." And I immediately broke about a dozen saw blades, and I was like, "Damn it!" And I couldn't get it fixed, and I was like, "This is making me insane." And then I read the directions. And thought, oh,
she's so pretty.
Oh, so I was like, oh, I see. That's I get it now, and it works great. So,
it does.
User error. Anyway, so with the chart, you may find that it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to use my 2.0 blade for heavier stuff, and I'm going to use their thinner stuff, and I'm going to use like a 2 for heavier stuff. But One of the things, I have a visual chart here.
Visuals. We love visuals.
Because what happens is you've got kind of your 0, which is a neutral, and zeros are good for about 18 gauge metal. And the heavier you go, the blades get bigger. Each of the teeth get bigger. So my 2, 4, 6, and it may be backwards to you. 2, 4, 6. And you can see the teeth get bigger as the numbers get higher, right? Mm-hmm. And as you go to 4, 6, the blades, little teeth get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, but the spine also gets smaller as well. So the kerf that it leaves behind, the little path that it's cutting, is smaller. But a lot of people aren't familiar with the fact that you've got your 0 and then 0, 0, so it's getting smaller. 0, 0, 0, 0 is smaller. And then 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 is smaller. And so you know by the number of zeros that it's getting smaller. So instead of going into your jeweler supply place and saying, I'd like a 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 blade, please. They're like, how many zeros is that? And you're like, 6 zeros. And that's why it's a 6/0 blade. So,
which I didn't know.
Yeah, it's shorthand. So they're just more zeros, not more 6s.
Ooh,
So-
Brian says he has microscope pics of a couple of different blade sizes side by side for just this exact demo. Want copies? Yes, please.
Yes, please send them.
Yes, send them. And
Yeah.
I will give them to the students in my Sawing and Piercing Demystified class, or we will just put them up on the website. We
Yeah.
don't want to keep it from other people.
Totally, we could do that. And also, too, new concepts. Not only do they have the saws, but they have the saw blades, and they're one of the only people that distribute the 10/0 blade, which are the Hercules blades. And they are, I haven't been able to find 10/0 blades anyplace else.
No place else.
But they also sell
And I love they
the
have a
skip
little-
tooth blades.
I love that they have a little thing on here that says, there really are 12 blades in here. Because they're really fine.
so
they're
little.
hair thin and bundled together. Yes, it's
Yes.
like they really are.
Wafer thin.
Wafer thin.
So,
But yes,
yeah.
these blades Jennifer uses a lot because why?
I use them for wax carving. So the Pegas, am I saying that right? Pegas.
yeah, I'm
Pegas
assuming.
blades are a skip tooth blade, and these are great blades when you're doing things like working with softer material, wood, but
Wax,
they're great
plastic.
for wax. So I use these for wax carving, and they work incredibly well. Very straight, clean kerf, and the skip tooth pulls the material out rather than clogging, and it's not as wily as a spiral blade is. But here's my other tip for blades: hold on to your broken saw blades, because when you're working with something like wax, especially, and you need to get into those little corners and things, what I'll do is hold on to some of especially my coarser blades, like the like a 2, and this one you can kind of see it's huge.
It's big. It's huge.
It's huge.
In comparison to the saw blades,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of 6/0 and 8/0, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
So, but for wax, you don't
Right.
need something quite that thin. It just clogs. So what I'll do is take one of my bigger blades and I'll break it at about 2 inches. So it's like that, right? And I still have a little bit of the part that sticks into the handle. And then I'll use an X-Acto knife, like this one, and take the blade out and insert the saw blade, and you can insert it depending on if you're wanting to cut on the push or the pull. You can turn it around
yes,
either
because
way.
the blades only cut one way.
Right. And then I can get into those little corners using an X-Acto knife or an X-Acto knife handle with my saw blade in it. I can saw into those little corners. And
Nice.
I love this for that. Also, too, I will use a pen vise like this one, which I usually have a needle in, so needles are really handy. But when you're trying to get into those sharp, teeny tiny little corners and you can't quite get in a lot of ways, like your saw blade or saw handle might be in the way, I'll do the same thing with this. So sometimes I'll use my pen vise. And pen vices are great because you can use them in so many ways. I use them for stone setting. I use them for
And people frequently
drilling,
don't realize
burnishing,
that
all
pin
kinds of
vices,
things.
all pin vices come with 4 different collets, right? So you have 4 different sizes of things you can grab. But I've run into that with students in the past.
So for something like this, where I've got Julia has tiny little spirals, I could actually get into those little areas and kind of file away with a saw blade in a pin vise or in an X-Acto blade holder. So I usually use the X-Acto one because it's flat and holds a blade really nicely, and the closed pin vise collet for that.
So this...
Tell us about that, Julia.
Stuff. This you'll get if you sign up for the Sawing and Piercing Demystified class. You will get the template for this. This is a pretty complicated piercing project, but it's a lot of fun. And if you want to take it on, it's a good one. It's going to get your saw blades and your saw frame a workout. So it's quite
kind of
a lot
mind
of fun.
bending.
It is. But we also have, if you're just starting out or you just want to practice with something a little simpler, we have these, which our wonderful Helen, our wonderful partner Helen Cowart designed for us. And
I love the little dragon.
They're fabulous. So these are, you'll get templates for both all of these and then also for this as part of the sawing and piercing class. So you don't have to guess about what you're going to saw. You can just get some metal and get started.
Right. But you know what? I think, let's see if we could,
go live.
let's Brian,
get Brian in
concepts and see if you're in there. Yeah. Are you there, Brian?
He may
just
be
invited
accepting.
you. You can accept and say hi.
Come down in. Come and join us.
Come join us, Brian.
Come join us, Brian. Come into the dark side.
You can do it. We believe in you.
Cookies.
Yeah, we believe in you. You can do it. So yeah, if you've got, let's see, go live. There we go. So let's invite you to come in here if you like. And let's see. Oop, here we go. Can you do it, Brian? Let's see if we
it
can do
always
that.
takes a little while.
Let's see. There we go. Let's do that. Go live in a room. Send a request. Okay. All right. We sent you a request, Brian. So if you want to jump in, say yes.
Yes.
So what is coming up?
What's coming up? Yes.
Is a couple of classes. We're going to be doing a really fun weekend of classes that are great for intro intensive weekend, and we're going to do it Labor Day weekend because
back to school.
Yeah, a lot of people have a long weekend. So we're going to be doing a series of intro intensive classes that weekend that include the sawing essentials,
flex shaft
essentials,
setting up, leveling up your home studio or setting up your home studio, which Jennifer's going to do.
So, if you've got your home studio set up and you're, really wanting to sort of kick it up a notch, or you're worried about your lighting or your ventilation or, how your studio's designed or wanting to create a new bench, we're going to be talking about a lot of that too. So leveling up your home studio, sawing essentials, flex shaft essentials,
little torch
and
essentials,
then
the studio safety and chemicals lecture. So those are all happening on the 4th, 5th, and 6th of September. So it's really like back to school and get yourself set up and get back to work. So those are all coming up in a few weeks. This weekend, this coming Saturday, I'm doing Make Your Mark, stamps and punches. So you can learn how to make your own maker's mark if you want, or chasing punches or whatever. But these tools will last you a lifetime. And it's a really fun class. It's really fun to make your own tool and to be able to make the mark that you want to make with the tool that you made. That's really fun. So that's coming up. And
alternative stone setting classes are still open on Wednesday evening, so tomorrow night. Pedestals next week, setting marquee stones. It's going to be good.
Whole series of fabulous classes with Jennifer.
And
awesome.
And after that on Wednesday evenings, we're going to be doing production. So just in time before the holidays to be able to get your production kicked into high gear. So we should be able to give you a hand getting things organized if you need to get multiple things done, casting, plating. Well, I'll answer all those questions for you. Designing for production, finding out, what's your bread and butter designs. How do you keep going when you get stalled out or when you sort of get bench block, as I like to call
bench block.
You get bench block.
Oh my God.
And you can't think anymore about designs. So helping you sort of re-inspire and go back to some designs and finding ways that you can simplify your designs and make it great for production. So we're going to be doing that too. Cuttlefish bone casting is coming up on the 28th. I like to think I'm a cuttlefish bone expert at this point. I probably know more than anyone ever should.
She's eaten them too.
They're delicious. Yeah, they're delicious. They're better than calamari in so many ways. Anyway, but
And they're in so many ways,
so
including
good.
the fact that they create cuttle bones that she's casting with.
They are.
Looks like Brian was trying to get in, but was something stalled out on his end. So I'm sorry that didn't work out, but we can maybe try it again.
Fireworks. Hi there. Yeah. So we can try doing this. We'll try and invite him one more time. See if we can get him. Just accept, Brian.
Just accept.
Just come on in. So anyway, yeah, so we've got a bunch of fun stuff coming up. But the thing we wanted to announce, and we were trying to do this with Brian, is that we've got two giveaways coming up.
Yes.
So, hi, Brian. Welcome back. And, so, yeah, Brian, accept that invitation to join us if you can, if you see it there. I'll even send it again here if you haven't accepted it yet. There you go. All right. I've sent several requests. You can join us if you want.
Okay.
So
we have two giveaways coming up that are tied into the Sawing and Piercing Demystified class that's happening on, when is it happening? Sunday, September 5th. So we have worked out with this great exchange. So we are going to give away a new concept saw. We Little Metal Foxes are going to give away a new concept saw. And New Concepts is going to give away a Little Metal Foxes class. So they're going to give away a seat in the Sawing and Piercing Demystified class, and we're going to give away a saw. So we're giving our saw away on the Friday before the class. So we're giving it away on that would be the 3rd, I guess, of September.
Right.
I believe
live on Instagram.
The New Concepts folks have a different date for when they're giving away the class, and what we want you guys to do is be following both of us, of course, New Concepts and Little Metal Foxes. We want you to like and share and save the post, and we want you to share the post, the giveaway post, and because one share will equal an entry. And we want you to comment. We want you to tell us what classes you would like to see on Little Metal Foxes, or if you have a product that you are like, we really wish New Concepts would make something, you can put that in there. But if you give us a comment on what classes you'd like to see, we love that feedback, and that really helps out.
If you're taking the sawing class, you get an additional entry.
Yes.
So that actually boosts your entries and your chances of winning the saw.
My favorite saw.
So if you want to win the saw, keep your eyes open for the contest. We'll point it out there, and actually New Concepts is going to be running that, so we'll have links to their giveaway as well.
Right.
And but yeah, comment, share, like, and
we'll do a post that has all the rules in it, so you don't have to remember this. Don't worry, you don't have to remember this. We'll write it all down.
Oh yeah. So Ivory Cat Design says my New Concept saw is my favorite bench tool. I got to tell you, yes, absolutely. So yeah, that's kind of our tool tips for tonight.
I know. We're so excited. We are so excited. We love the New Concept saw.
We do. We
really do.
And we think you should too.
And we think you should too.
So yeah. But yeah, if you're never sure which saw blade to use, do go to the New Concept site and print out that chart for yourself, because I keep mine on my bench. It's a great reference, and it also has not only what thickness you need to be cutting with which blade, but which drill bit size cuts the hole that you need to cut as well.
Exactly.
So it has the matching drill bit sizes, which I really appreciate, in inches and in millimeters. Drill bit sizes. No, drill bit sizes. That's it. But but it gives you all the information. It's awesome. So
for free.
So yeah, you could actually downloadable version. There it is. Scan that right now. There it is. For QR code.
QR codes.
Go QR code. So yeah. So it was all worth it, Brian, that QR code that you put on there.
Right.
So yeah. But anyway, I love sawing, and I think if you're one of those people that's like, I hate sawing, it's probably because you're doing it wrong. And
so
which is not your fault. It's not your
right.
fault.
Come and learn how to do it right, and come and learn how to love it, because sawing is so much fun. It's so meditative and delicious.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
And Brian says they do take requests for tools. They have a long list of tools, but he's like, if it needs to exist, he will make it happen.
Yeah. And anytime when you get your saws, they come with the sticker that has that is this, which is actually what I have on my bench. So I like the sticker. I actually got some saw blades, and it came with my saw blades. So
nice.
I really appreciated that.
I didn't know they had a sticker.
Yeah, get that chart. Go do that. And hi Kyle. Hello. So yeah, thanks for joining us, everybody. If you missed the beginning of our tooltips, go back and watch it from the beginning. We'll have it posted, and that way you can.
Fireworks avoids sawing. No, sawing is great.
No,
it's delicious.
Don't avoid him. Be one of us.
Be one of us.
Sawing,
join us.
when you know how, sawing is so easy and so simple, and it is an essential skill. And it may be just because you have either the wrong saw, or this one's the right one, and or you're holding your saw.
You're holding your saw wrong.
Yeah.
Or you're sitting wrong.
Simple
It
solution.
could be something super simple.
So sometimes going back to the basics, even if you are, whatever level you're at, going back to the basics sometimes, and just sitting in on a basics class, you're going to learn new stuff. You're going to learn something from everybody. Right. And I always recommend taking, sawing and soldering from as many people as you can, because everybody has tips and tricks that they can share. So if you have the ability to take, additional soldering classes or sawing classes, or just sit and watch a friend that's doing some work and see what they do differently, it's always going to be helpful. Yeah. So always recommend
that. Well, and if you've had some experience already, especially if you hate it, right? Come take the class, because we can help sort out what it is why you're hating it, and sometimes it's just a thing that's not your jam. That's okay too. Yeah. But we don't want you to hate it because it's like Jennifer was like, because you're using the saw wrong.
You're doing it wrong.
Because if she didn't read the instructions, but then she read the instructions and now she loves her saw.
Exactly right. Yeah. I was really frustrated with it. I'm like, saw. And I was like, instructions. Yeah. That's one. I was doing it wrong. So yeah. All right, everybody. Join us next week for tool tips, and make sure to keep an eye out for the upcoming giveaways. Get entered. I mean, who doesn't want one of these? If you don't,
who doesn't want a class
or a second one if you already have one? But or a class. So make sure you check it out and let us know what kind of classes you want coming up. We've got AJ Power is going to be doing jewelry illustration in color.
Jewelry sketching in color. Yeah.
So if you
that just went live today.
So if you're bad at sort of, getting your designs across to somebody, AJ's going to be doing the jewelry drawing, drawing jewelry in color.
Yeah.
So
jewelry sketching in color is what it's called.
And for those of you that have already done the sketching class with him, you know how awesome it is. Yeah. So it's, he makes it, he demystifies it, makes it not scary at all.
I know,
it makes it easy.
Yes, I mean, a lot of people are. It's like people are afraid of math. People are afraid of drawing.
Yeah.
Neither one of those things is scary. Both of those things are really important.
It's like if you can do this, you can draw. Yes. I have so many friends that are jewelers that are like, I can't draw. I'm like, can you saw? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, did you come out of the womb knowing how to saw? And they're like, no. And I'm like, same is true with drawing. You can learn how to draw too. It's not natural to draw for most people. So anyway, it's a learned skill. It's a learned skill. And you can learn how.
And AJ will help you.
He will. And we'll help you with all the other
I will help you with all the other stuff. I won't help you learn how to draw, but I will help you learn how to saw.
So Brian from New Concepts, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And
we'll get you on here. We'll get you on here.
We can do it. Maybe Friday for the giveaway.
Ooh, that would be good.
Yes,
that would be fun.
Watching you. We can get you on here. So join us next week for tool tips, and keep an eye out for the upcoming giveaways. Right? Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.